Everyone, I am Deyana Rahmawan. On this occasion, I would like to discuss a topic, namely censorship and freedom of speech on social media. This issue is very relevant given the huge role social media plays in our daily life. On one hand, there are those who support censorship as a way to maintain the security and the integrity of the platform. On the other hand, there are those who argue that censorship threatens freedom of speech, which is a fundamental right of every individual. Let's take a deeper dive into these two perspectives. Proponents of censorship on social media argue that with the regulation, this program can become a place where hate speech, misinformation, and other harmful content can spread. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of false information about virus and vaccine circulate on social media, which could have jeopardized public health. Censorship is necessary to filter this kind of content and ensure that information is accurate and reliable. Additionally, censors are important for protecting users from harassment and threats of violence. For example, cyberbullying has caused many victims to experience serious mental distress. With strict censorship policies, social media platforms can be more proactive in removing content that contains threats or harassment, creating a safer and more comfortable environment for all users. On the other hand, those who oppose censorship argue that it violates freedom of speech, which is a fundamental right of every individual. Social media often serve as a platform for people to express their views and opinions. Excessive censorship can silence critical voice and limit healthy and constructive discussions. Freedom of speech allows for the diverse perspective needed in a democracy. Critics of censorship also highlight the risk of bias in its implementation. Social media companies, which often have their own business interests, may not always be neutral in declining what content to remove. This can lead to discrimination against certain groups or viewpoints. There are also concerns that censorship could be used as a tool to control the narrative and silence political opposition. After considering these two perspectives, we can see that the issue of censorship and free speech on social media is very complex. On the one hand, censorship is necessary to maintain security and prevent the spread of misleading information. However, on the other hand, it is also important to maintain free speech and ensure that all voices can be heard. The balance between the two must be achieved through transparent and fair policies as well as user education on digital literacy. However, I tend to lean towards the arguments against excessive censorship. Excessive censorship on social media threatens freedom of speech, which is one of the main pillars of democracy. This type of censorship can hinder critical voices that are essential in dynamic society. Decisions about censorship handled by social media companies also increase the risk of bias and unfairness. It's better to improve digital literacy to address harmful content rather than relying on censorship. A balance should be achieved through transparent policies that involve participation from various stakeholders. That's all from me. Thank you for your listening. I hope this discussion provide you with new insight into the importance of balancing censorship and freedom of speech on social media. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.